Today I wanted to talk about MRI results. Many people with persistent pain conditions may well have had an MRI at some point. And very often at that point, if there's some finding on that MRI, that's almost when the journey stops. And it's like, well, you've got a this, and therefore you're going to have to deal with it, or we can't do anything about this, or you mustn't do this, or you mustn't do that. And this was the same in my story. So I'd had persistent pain for quite a long time. And it was actually 5 years ago today that I got my results of my MRI that said that I had degenerative discs throughout my whole thoracic and lumbar spine. And this was then, the message was, well, don't do anything strenuous, don't run, don't do this, don't do that. And that's it. Nothing's going to change, and, get on with your life, really. Now, I still had persistent pain at this point, and I didn't have the knowledge that I have today. And so I kind of took that, with my osteopathic biomedical hat on, I took that information. I thought, well, that's that then. I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. However, there is not really ever a normal MRI result because we're all different. And I wanted to share with you today this document here, this image that shows the results of MRI scans in people who are pain-free. So these are people who have no symptoms, they're asymptomatic. And I think it's a really interesting, it was a really interesting study, and it shows, as I say, the findings in different age groups who are pain-free. So let's just take disc degeneration, which was what I was diagnosed with. So there it is at the top. So if you scanned, and when I had my scan done, I was in my 40s, if you scanned a population of 40-year-olds with no pain, 68% of them would show disc degeneration, but they haven't got pain. So essentially we can't put the two things together. The modern scanning is absolutely brilliant and it's really got its place, but often in a chronic pain picture, it can be unhelpful. So again, if you look at that disc degeneration, if you're in your 50s, you're 80, the people who are pain-free, 80% of them had disc degeneration. So again, we can extrapolate from that not necessarily is that disc degeneration is causing the pain, because if 80% of the population had disc degeneration, they should all have pain, and they don't. It's the same with the disc bulge. If you look across at disc bulge, if you're in your 40s, pain-free, you're 50% likely to have a disc bulge on MRI. And again, it's not causing pain, so therefore it's not relevant. Now, some discs are relevant, and actually some discs are a surgical emergency, but at that point you are going to have very acute symptoms down your leg. You're going to have, changes of sensation in your foot. You may be experiencing bladder and bowel issues. So, we're not, you do need to be careful and you do need to get it checked out. But in 50% of the population who are pain-free, they've got disc bulges. So I think we need to, consider the MRI results, but not necessarily hold them in as the be-all and end-all of the information in our chronic pain patients. And as I say, finding this out and then finding out the SERPA information and the neuroscience information beyond this made much more sense. So in my situation, yes, I did have spinal pain, but I also had knee pain and hip pain and foot pain and arm pain, and they varied. I also had fatigue. Disc degeneration does not explain the fatigue. So sometimes, as I say, we're given this biomedical MRI diagnosis that is actually not relevant. So just wanted to point this out today, just because I think it's really important in challenging perhaps our beliefs about what we've been told about our pain. As I say, if I'd believed that 5 years ago and I hadn't gone on to explore anything else and I hadn't discovered SERPA, I'd probably still be on my sofa, not being able to move, not being able to walk my dogs, and in a lot of pain. And actually, this is important for empowering you to look further and see what else is going on in your situation, to see if there's the bits that you can change. I can't change the disc degeneration in my spine, but I have changed my pain.